All right, it is 5:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Greetings to everybody that has tuned in. We're so excited to have you guys. This is our first ever Maximizing Middle School Success call out. So the goal with these calls will be to just provide as much information to parents and give you guys an opportunity to ask questions, to help your students as they do this really difficult transition from elementary to middle school. I am Beth Kaysen. I am the instructional / literacy coach here at Richardson Academy. Can you guys see?
Hello, this is Michelle Lear, and I am the math coach and also the intervention math teacher.
And I am Marvette Kelly. I am RSGA's curriculum teacher.
We were going to get started today to kind of jump in and tell you a little bit about the research class that the students start. It's their homeroom class, and they go to that for 20 minutes in the morning. It's their first period class, and we do something called Lead 6. So your child should hopefully be talking to you a little bit about Lead 6. And this is on Mondays and on Wednesdays. They get a goal. We talk about the 7 habits of highly successful teens. The habit that we're discussing currently is called proactive, and we are talking with our students about being proactive. Ways for if they're upset about something to come and talk to an adult. If their grades are behind, we work with them on checking their grades and contacting the teacher to see if there's something they need to do. If there is something they're interested in at school, maybe an activity or something of that nature.
Not here.
Hello. Someone is not muted. There we go. I'm sorry. So they're allowed to get with an educator or principal, someone on there's an activity that they're interested in doing. We also have a book that we read as teachers. It's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and we go as a guideline to help. On Wednesdays in the Lead 6 class, students check their grade. So your students sign in every Wednesday to Focus. And on Focus, they go in and look for any possible missing assignments. And they're allowed the opportunity to make up any assignments or anything that they still need to work on. They log in their grade for each class. And they also set a goal for themselves. What do they want to make in that class? It could be that they're striving for a C. It could be a student striving for a honor roll. And the teacher works with them on goal setting and ways to reach that. And they check in with that every Wednesday. Are there any questions about Lead 6 or about the research class? I'll get a little bit more into research. Okay, so
is the research class on the report card as a class grade?
It does on a class grade. It comes in as research. What we're doing, we have a literacy push this year, and what we are doing, and I'll let Ms. Kaysen speak a little bit more to the literacy side. The students are given information in that class. They're given lessons on the speech. Ms. Kaysen, you want to tell me a little bit more about what all they're doing in there? Because I know it has a lot to do with literacy.
So that first class, they're going to be getting things like affixes, lots of morphology, which just means like prefixes, suffixes, root words, base words. Vocabulary is extremely important, as I'm sure you know. So the big push is with vocabulary, and there will be some comprehension, but there's just not a ton of time during that 30 minutes in the morning because we have morning announcements. But the push will really be like vocabulary and working on word parts.
Okay. They also have a quiz, a weekly quiz in that class, and it's open note. So during the week when the students are going over the items that Ms. Kaysen discussed, they take notes and they have additional information. And the quiz that they take is all open note, and they can ask questions, and you will see a grade for your child in that. Are there any questions in regards to that or what else we're doing?
Can you get it?
Yeah. And Miss Coleman, we do have you.
There we go.
Okay, as far as math, your child will have a spiral notebook for math, and it says should be a 3-subject notebook. It was on the supply list, and your child takes notes. This is basically like their math Bible. They go over, take their notes. All of their classwork is maintained in here, and there is a reference sheet, a multiplication sheet, and you can go through and see where your child has been taking notes with their teacher. The homework that your child has in math would be anything that your child doesn't finish in math class. We do not give a lot of homework. We try to be aware of your time at home. We know a lot of you have sports activities, other children, things that you're doing. We typically try to finish everything we can in math class. If they don't finish, they will come home, or if they're studying for a test, they can bring home their math book and go over things. And if you have questions about anything, reach out, but you can always look at the content that your child's working on. You can also sign online. It's the best standards, and it's the 6th grade best standards. And on our Columbia County pacing on the website, it gives you our pacing guide, and we'll let you know everything your child will be learning this year and what it builds on. And if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer. You can email me. It's Lear, Learm at Columbia K-12. And I'll be happy to answer any math questions that you may have, or if you have any questions about lead 6 as well.
Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, so for the next just about 5 minutes, I'm just going to be hitting on that transition from elementary to middle and the responsibilities of the student versus the parent. Because just a quick personal story, I have 2 girls, and my oldest girl was phenomenal. She did a really great job in elementary school. She made really good grades. And I just assumed, even as an educator, that when she went to middle school, she was going to be successful and maintain those good habits that she had in elementary. And that didn't happen. She needed more structure than I provided. I just kind of assumed that she, like I said, I assumed she was going to be okay. And she needed for me to still be checking in. So I was checking in, and I thought I was doing all of the things that a good parent should do. I asked her, when are your tests? Give me test dates. And do you have homework? That was the big question, right? And of course, no, she never had homework. And then middle school was when she got her first C. So I know from, it's good. Okay. I just know from a personal perspective that sometimes managing that transition from elementary to middle with our children can be difficult. So what do we expect? Because I know sometimes parents think that we're not as welcoming as a middle school campus sometimes is the feeling. And the truth is, we need you. We still need you. We need our parents. But what does that look like? Because it does look different for middle school. Like, you're not going to be walking your 6th grader to their classroom anymore. They don't want you to do that. But let's talk about some practical things that you can do for your middle school student. First of all, your child does need to start advocating for themselves. What does that look like? We teach them how to send emails. If they notice that there is a 1 or a 0 in the grade book, for example, like Mrs. Lear was talking about, every Wednesday they check their grades. We encourage them, email your teacher, ask respectfully, why do I have a 0? Sometimes the teacher just hasn't put the grade in yet. Now, if your child is telling you, of course, I've emailed, I've asked respectfully, and you're still not maybe seeing a change in grade after a couple of weeks, please reach out to the teacher. Sometimes there may be an extenuating circumstance, and that communication between home and school is essential. We do need you touching base as well. And there are lots of ways to touch base. I know Ms. Kelly will be talking a little bit more about that as well. Emails, you can always call the school, but email is phenomenal. And Parent Square, I think, is really the way to go. So, as far as you at home, like, what can you ask your child? Like, how can you really help your child with this transition? They should still be writing in their planner every time they go into their classroom, even if it just says no homework, they should be getting into that habit. It's not always about them writing something like they don't need to write their whole agenda down. That wastes too much class time. We only have them for 55 minutes per class. So you may only see no homework, but the point of the planner, and this is something that my senior, I have a child who is a senior that she really still does. Now she uses her phone a lot, but still she's in the habit of writing down assignments and due dates. So that's the purpose of the planner, is to establish good habits. So ask your child at least once a week, hey, I need to see your planner. And if you see a blank, empty planner, please talk about that with them. And then set that expectation that you will be checking it at least once a week. And you expect to see that they are writing down test dates and any kind of important, events that are coming up, because that's how you'll know. Another way that you can know is oftentimes with focus. Most teachers will put in, if there is a test coming up, it's already going to be in focus with the due date. So that's another way for you to see if a test is coming up. If you have not signed up for focus, that is something we, of course, always encourage our parents to do, because that's where your teachers will be putting grades in for your child, and you can go on and monitor. You don't have to do it daily, but at least every couple of weeks, just pop on and see. Are you noticing any missing assignments? Maybe they were absent and didn't turn something in. It's just a really good way for you to be able to keep up. Test dates is a really good thing for you to ask your student about. Ask them, when is your next test coming up? And then, this is huge, make sure that your child knows how to study. Sometimes we just assume, oh, they have their notes, and you tell them, go sit down and study. Well, what does that look like for an 11 or a 12-year-old? So we talk about it at school, of course, but that is definitely something our parents can help reinforce. Just ask them for their notes and read their notes out to them and have them answer the questions. The purpose of notes, and this is something that our 11 and 12-year-olds don't always understand, they are not just there because, oh, I did it in class, I'm done. Notes are there for you to be looking at on a daily basis, so that repetition of material begins to become something that it's not just something you crammed and you memorized for a second. So that is a really big thing that we strongly encourage our parents to do. All right, I'm about to run out of time. We didn't want to keep you guys long today. Last thing, two things, and then I'm done. So we have a program called IXL for, I think for advanced math students, they have ALEX, but ALEX and everybody else has IXL is available at home. There's math and there's reading lessons that they can do. So if you've noticed that, hey, I want my child to be they don't really have any homework in 6th grade, but I would like for them to do some extra work, maybe have them sit down for 20 minutes a few times a week and do a math lesson, a reading lesson. So if you're not sure about IXL and you want more information, once we're all finished, we'll be here for Q&A for anybody that wants to hang out. Last thing, read. Y'all, 6th graders get so excited because they're like, no AR. They still really need to be reading. And the sad statistic is that I forget exactly what the numbers are. Yeah, it went from like 47% 12 years ago to now these days, like 12% of our kids read for fun. And I can tell you that reading is fundamental, and it is going to make them successful in all of their classes. So I cannot say it enough. Go to the library, encourage them to go to our library. You don't have to take them anywhere. We have a library, but encourage them to check out books. And my senior does not like to read. I used to have to literally read novels with her. So, sometimes we got to do what we got to do, but just encourage and keep them engaged with that learning process, because we all have so many distractions these days. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and give the laptop over to Miss Kelly now.
Hi, everyone. I just want to share with you a little about our Title I resource room as CRT. One of my responsibilities here is to be a resource for parents, when you need support in terms of helping your child academically. In addition to academic nights that we host, we offer support through our resource room as well. I'm about to put a link in the chat that I'm hoping everyone will see. Didn't do it. Our resource room on campus is located on the first wing downstairs. So if you'd ever like to stop by, visit just to see everything we have available, we're here during school hours up until around 3:15 due to afternoon duty. The link that you're going to get is of what you're seeing on the screen right now. And it's just to share with you a little more about what we have available, the support that we offer, and just how Title I Parent and Family Engagement works at RSGA. So we're going to start out at the copier. You'll see the words Teacher-Parent Conference. When I click on that, you'll see a copy of our compact for 6th grade. When you come for a teacher-parent conference at our school, this is a part of our conference form, and the compact is an agreement concerning what the child is responsible for, what the parent is responsible for, and what the teachers are responsible for. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the parent section real quick. When we ask you to look at the compact and we have you to sign it, it's not saying you will do these things. My purpose here is to help you in addressing any of the areas here where you may need more support in working with your child. So that's where I come in. Most of our parent conferences are held in the resource room on campus. And so after the conference ends, if there's things where you need support, I'm here to support you with those things. All right, going back over, there's a link on here to Focus Parent Portal. If you haven't logged in for this school year, please log in, and there will be some questions you have to answer before you get to your child's grades. And just to reiterate on what Ms. Lear shared earlier, every Wednesday during our Lead 6 Wednesday time, students log on and look at their current progress. They look at their grades, and if there's any area or anything that they haven't turned in, anywhere you see a 1, that's an assignment they haven't turned in. They're supposed to write in their planner what their missing assignments are. So every Wednesday, if there's a missing assignment, there should be details in your child's planner that you can check. Also, if you haven't signed on with Parent Square, if your child rolled over from our district last year, then you would have received an invitation to sign on to that. If not, there is a link that's here where you can get signed on for Parent Square for the year. We also have 2 computers available in the resource room if you don't have technology at home, and you would contact me to make arrangements to use those. We provide for assignments, we do poster printing, we have a color printer. We're able to print out assignments that children type. And the heaviest seasons in this room are usually when projects are due, world history projects, sometimes science projects. It's become a one-stop shop for that. We print a lot of papers. We help kids put projects together. So that resource is available. We also have a variety of learning games and materials and resources if your child is in need of additional support in addition to what's already available. And on the green chalkboard at the top, there's a hyperlink if there's something you need for your child. This form, it's a Google form, it's aligned with the compact. And so you would fill this form out if there's anything that you need, and then you share all of the areas where you feel like you need support, and we support you in those areas. So I'm going to put the link to this in the chat for you to play around with it at home. And then we're going to transition to our Q&A. So I'm going to stop my share.
All right, guys, you can unmute yourself if you need to, or you can put your questions in the chat box.
I have a question about the IXL. I know obviously they don't have the AR reading, and my son Gabriel Lara, he is more on the science and math track, which is kind of opposite of what I was. So with that being said, how could that help us and me better to parent him, the IXL app that you were talking about?
So if Gabriel doesn't, I would say if he's struggling with reading, so what IXL is, he's still there. Okay. So what IXL is, it gives them a diagnostic at the beginning of the year. So that just is a diagnosis where they are. And then it puts him on a path. Now, the cool thing about IXL, part of that path he gets to choose. So when he logs on to IXL, he's going to see several different benchmarks, assignments that are tailored just to him that he can work on. So if he goes to IXL and he's working in the ELA or reading, side of things, then he's going to be getting something that is on his level. So he'll be getting that additional practice that is on his level. So IXL is great for that, for reading and math. And then of course, again, with the just the reading for fun, I know, you hear it all the time, but it really does help with vocabulary, especially if he's pushing himself.
Right.
That's, not just Dork Diaries or something like that, but if he's reading something with, I would say on a 5th grade and above level, then he's going to be getting some vocabulary and background knowledge. Really, our students come to us, we find a lot with just lacking in some background knowledge. And the more they read, the more they're exposed to. So in that way, just that reading for fun is going to help him, but also to the IXL lessons, they are tailored to some of the skills that he needs to be working on.
Okay. So basically, if they're saying they don't have homework, which is all the time now, make sure that they're doing at least at least 30 minutes of reading or something, reviewing for the test, the notes, something like that. At least 30 minutes of something.
I would say with math, when you go through the notebook, if they can teach it to you, like if Gabriel can teach that to you, and this goes for all of the children out there, have them walk you through the steps. It may be something you haven't seen in a bit, but I know once they start, you'll be, oh, that's right. I remember doing PEMDAS when I was in. Let them teach you a problem or two. And if they can teach it, they know it. And that's the best way I can think of. Also, Miss King is in our library, and I know she does book highlights. There's a whole big science fiction that maybe Gabriel might be interested in. I was kind of looking at some titles and maybe just kind of pulling out some of those, higher titles that he might be interested in would be neat too, and reading with him.
Yeah, that would be great, because some of the books he's been reading, I feel are childish for him, but that's because when I flip open the page, I see cartoons still, some of the Naruto and stuff. Yeah, so
that's
it's hard to monitor how much he's reading.
It is. It's reading, and it's a whole genre now that they do. So it looks, but a lot of them have higher level thinking content. It just goes along. It's they're called graphic novels, and the students graphic novels. So
I know,
and it for us, they're like, well, they're reading a comic strip, but it's got a lot of higher order thinking and reading in there. So
yeah.
Okay. I guess I just have one more question. I was interested, she was talking about the poster printing, et cetera, for the projects. We did kind of just come across that when we did a project. So how could you help so that his project could have looked better?
Well, if you could share just what the project was on.
It was it was a timeline of sharing at least 5 events that you have basically formed you who you are as of today. And I just felt that it looked bland after we were finished it.
I'm going to share with you one teeny weeny secret, and then I'll share just how like we could
Okay.
support with that. And this is just this is something we rarely tell parents, but I'm going to tell you all tonight. The more, I don't want to say plain it looks, but the more kid-like it looks, usually number one, the more creative the project is. Number two, we can kind of, the teacher secrets, we can kind of sniff out right away if like, all right, yeah, mom and dad were heavily involved with this one. All right, the kids
True.
together. So just want
Well,
caveat. But they come to the resource room, and if they have an idea of how they want it to look, at like if they wanted to add like color icons, or if there's something that's done on regular paper that needs to be blown up poster size and put on a poster.
mhm. Okay. And you're cutting out just a little bit. Now, are there hours available after school hours for him to do that?
Well, you would contact me, and then we could see what we
Okay.
could out. It's mostly during school hours, but I have made arrangements to stay after.
Okay. And your name again was?
Narvette Kelly. I'm the CRT.
Okay. Okay. All right. Guess that's all the questions I have for now.
All right, real quick, before we move on to any other questions, I did drop a link in the chat, and that's an evaluation form for today's experience. That'll be your sign-in for today. And then any links or information that we shared, we can email those things out to you. So if you'll go ahead and just click that link, and then while we're continuing to talk, work on that evaluation form, it drops to my inbox. And then that lets me know that lets me know you were here, and then we can get information out to you. Thanks.
And our next meeting will be November 9th. So put that on your calendar and tell parents, and then we'll use the information from the evaluation forms to kind of decide what you need to know when we have our next meeting. And if you think of something in the meantime that you just have been wondering about, you have questions about, your child has questions about, again, Narvette Kelly, Beth Kaysen, Michelle Lear. So just reach out, email, call the school. And we will make sure that that's on the agenda for our next call. And before time does run out, because I think we are running out pretty soon, we just want to say thank you again to all of our parents who have tuned in. If you know other 6th grade parents that you notice weren't in the chat tonight, we're trying to reach as many as possible. So just share the information. Hopefully, we get double the amount when we talk to you guys again in November. But yeah, just share that info.
Did any other parents have questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna ask, I heard you all talking about the note situation with the kids. They take notes and they're able to bring them home and study. So I guess it's like history and science. Those classes, apparently the teachers, I guess, require for them to leave those in class. So he does not bring those home, or is that something that should not be happening? They should be able to bring them home.
I was going either one of us. They are definitely allowed to bring the notes home should they choose to bring the notes home. Like if they have a science test or a history test coming up, they definitely can bring them home. I don't know if you guys have held any of your children's backpacks, but they are heavy. And for the kids, for their backs, we don't have lockers. They try to keep the notebooks in the classroom. So that is probably the reason we don't send a whole lot home, so they don't have to carry as much. But definitely if they want to study, they can just ask for their notebook.
Okay,
Yeah, so
all right.
I would encourage my child. I'm glad you asked that question. That was something we wanted to discuss. And just encourage your children. Like tell them, if on this day you took notes, that would be a day to bring it home, because that's a day that I can help you rewrite the notes, or we can, we can study together, that type of thing.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are
Thank
welcome.
you.
Is it so we have a minute left?
Yeah, it is about to cut us
It may
off.
cut us off.
So if you have other questions, you can add them to the eval form. Thank you for joining us for our very first Maximizing Middle School Success session. We hope we were able to share resources with you that will be helpful to you and your child this year. Please scan the QR code to complete the evaluation. That is our sign-in sheet for the evening. We will send resources to the email address you share with us. Please join us on the second Thursday of next month for another session of Maximizing Middle School Success at RSGA. Have a great week.